folks, this is Nancy with Paper Moon Tarot. Thanks for watching me, and if you've subscribed, thank you, and if you haven't, please do. I wanted to do a video about court cards. Now, I've only been doing tarot not even 2 years, so I have no expertise to give you on court cards. In fact, this video is more about how I'm confused a bit about court cards, but I thought that in looking at some of them and talking about some of them, maybe I could get some comments from you, some insights from you, tell you what I'm thinking, how I'm viewing them, and again, get any comments. But also, I'm going to go through a list of questions, and if anyone watching would like to do a video response to this, the questions will be down below in the discussion and a hashtag, and I'd love to see your thoughts about court cards. So I'm going to start with why I find them a little confusing. And again, if you have anything to share that will help me be clearer, that'd be great. But we all probably know that cards like the Six of Cups have a pretty straightforward meaning. Obviously, shades and nuances depending on the context and the question and so forth. But you know, it's pretty much nostalgia, the past, childhood, something along those lines. When we get to something like the Queen of Wands, a court card, we are now looking at not just one type of meaning, we're looking at a matrix of, excuse me, we're looking at kind of a matrix of the role, queen, and the suit, wands. So we start with those two things, and the queen is potentially, she's a ruler. Queens tend to be more nurturing. I always think of them as having to be rulers that are dealing with social programs, healthcare and things like that, rather than kings who may be dealing with infrastructure or military. So they're in charge of the nurturing element. When you look at a Queen of Wands, for example, then you combine it with the wands that are fiery, passionate, creative. So you've got a ruler who's nurturing and fiery. And so you've got those things that you have to kind of find an elegant way to combine. And then you have the aspect that court cards are supposed to potentially represent a person in your life or aspects of yourself. So now you've got three layers. You've got the role of queen, you've got the suit of wands, and you've got the question of, is this someone I know? Is this me? Is it an aspect of me? If so, what aspect and in what context? So that's why I think they're more complex than either the major or minor arcana. So I wanted to take a look at some decks and go through these questions and show you some of the court cards I like, some that I don't like as well, why I like and don't like them, and go from there. So the first thing I want to look at is, what is your favorite deck for court cards and why? And my favorite is the New Era Elements Tarot. I'm just going to show you some of the cards. There's the Father of Fire, which would be the King of Fire. There's the Father of Water. And you'll note that each court is a different race or culture. The Father of Fire, clumsy. Fire is African, Pacific Islander for water. Mother of Fire. Mother of Earth, so these are more Anglo-Saxon type folks. But look at that art. Look at the face. I love these court cards because, number one, they're different. There are some decks, and I will show you one right now. This is the Darkness of Light, and these are two knights. Now, I think this collage artist took the same horse with the same leg raised up, with the same hood on its head, Same coloring of the white, and did some tweaks, did some changes. Even the face of the knight is pretty darn similar. We've added the flag and so forth, but it's two people on horses, and there's not a lot of difference between them. Whereas if you look at the mother of air, which is the queen, and the mother of water, they're kind of different, distinctive, obviously different human beings, the kind of people you might meet in your everyday life, not some elegant medieval queen. Look at the father of earth and the father of air. I don't know, to me the father of earth looks like a farmer, a peddler, somebody who works hard for a living. And the father of air is contemplative, and so more oriented towards thought and intellect. But both real people you could run into on the streets. So I love that. I love that they're different. I love that, they're unique cards, and they're real. They're really people. And the artwork is amazing. So that is the New Era Elements Tarot, and that is my favorite deck for court cards, for the art and everything else I just mentioned. Okay, the favorite contemporary deck, I'll reach over here for that one. Favorite court cards in a contemporary deck, I like the Next World Tarot, and it's not one of my favorite decks, it's not my favorite kinds of art, but I think what's portrayed here, obviously contemporary, but again, I'm showing you the 4 pages. They're very different. And this is Page of Wands. So a much more, gosh, it looks like a bridge collapsing in the back, debris scattered everywhere. So there's a more fiery, intense feel there. And here's the Page of Cups. Now I don't know if it says emotions, a caring person, but it doesn't have that fiery aspect. Something worth studying with these cards. The Page of Pentacles, somebody who's at work at her job. And again, they're real people. You could meet these people on the street. Not as elaborately drawn as with the New Era Elements, but you get the sense that the body types and the faces, they're not all the same by any means. And here's our Page of Swords. Seems to be breaking some barriers, entering where she's not supposed to, pursuing intellectual challenges, learning about something new, breaking through. So I think those are pretty great court cards, again, based on my criteria that they not be the same, that they be people you can recognize from the world, and that the art is engaging for me. So that's my what is your favorite contemporary deck court cards. The next one I did was, and this could be a crossover if your favorite contemporary or favorite deck is an animal one, but I thought it worth asking, do you have favorite court cards in an animal-based deck? And for me, it was the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. They're just so darn cute, and the art is beautiful. The card stock is beautiful. And I think they read well. First of all, there are different animals for each suit, so that helps me recognize them right off the bat. The Page of Cups would be a squirrel, and the cups are acorns. So this page is kind of exploring that acorn with a fish in it, as the traditional Page of Cups would have. Then, not in any particular order, there's our Queen of Wands. Being a fox, she's kind of fiery to begin with, so that's Wands. She's got a wand, and she's got a little kit here, little baby. So she's got the maternal element of Queen, the fiery color of the wands, and the wand itself. And here is our King of Wands. And again, with the fox, it's fiery to begin with. He has a wand. You know, it's not as clear with animal decks, I find, as with some others. There's our Queen of Swords. She's got a crown. That helps. She's a raven or a crow with the sword. It's sometimes a little weird when animal decks, court cards have swords, you know, a crow with the sword. But, you know, it works okay. Queen of Pentacles, again, with little baby bunnies and surrounded by the earth, by grasses and flowers. So anyway, this is just a very beautiful deck, and the court cards are beautiful and generally give me a feel for what the card is, what it means. One last, because they're so darn cute. Could do this all day, probably. Queen of Cups. So that's my favorite animal deck, court cards, the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. Okay, the least favorite deck for court cards for me. And so the question would be, what is your least favorite deck for court cards? Mine is the Star Child Tarot. To be honest with you, I don't relate to the deck that much at all. But the court cards, I find my biggest problem with them, to be honest with you, is that the men just look like they walked out of the barber shop on 52nd Street. You know, the hair doesn't seem to match the sort of dreamy quality of the other cards. I don't, frankly, think the collage work is that great in these decks. Apologies to the creator. It's just a matter of taste. But there we've got two women for the Queen. I don't get that. I don't see much. There's water, I guess, down here. I don't see much that says nurturing and caring. And then there are occasionally ones where it's a photorealistic face just popped into this artsy collage work, and that face just is jarring to me when everything else is this, again, sort of dreamy quality. So part of it is the art. It's not my favorite art. Part of it is that the way these people, and court cards are people, have been handled is jarring to me. Either because their look, the time period they're supposed to be coming from, if any, doesn't say much to me. That doesn't look like a Wands creature to me. She doesn't look fiery in the least. She looks icy. Page of Swords, maybe. But also, you know, the photorealistic faces I find jarring. They're not different enough, like the New Era elements, that I can really spot that's somebody I'd pass on the street. The women are all pretty much thin and young. The men, again, that hairstyle, really, are these people from the same era? Anyway, so, you know, we all have decks we don't care for. This is one I don't, and this is why the court cards particularly don't work for me. This is the Pentacles. Again, I don't see anything that much says King of Pentacles to me. So decks where I can't really tell what the card is from the context. It's just vague. They kind of look alike, or there's something jarring to the faces, to the people, since we're focused on the people with court cards. So that was the Star Child Tarot. What is your least favorite deck for court cards? Court card you identify with. What court card do you identify with? Well, maybe mine is a little obvious choice, but I'm an Aquarius, and I'm a writer, and the Queen of Swords is kind of the card I've adopted as me. This one is from the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and it's a lady sitting sitting on a balloon, I guess. That's sort of a city. It's windows into things. But she's looking out. It looks more like a telescope to me than a sword. She's looking out, journeying, traveling, trying to find something new, to learn something. And this is just one example. Obviously, there are Queen of Swords in every deck, and they are more geared towards the intellectual, towards justice, towards truth, justice in the American way, as Superman would say. But I just identify with the Queen of Swords. And again, I'm an air sign, and she's a queen, and hey, you know, I'm sure I have royal blood somewhere. So that is the card I identify with. What card do you identify with your partner? And your partner can be your cat, your last partner, your current partner, your best friend, anyway, some significant person in your life. What card do you identify with them? And I chose the King of Cups, and this is the Darkness of Light Tarot again. I'm sorry, the Knight of Cups. For my husband. He's very romantic and very active kind of guy, does projects all the time, goes out there to get things done, and he's a sweetheart. So I think of the Knight of Cups whenever I get this card, and sometimes the King of Cups. I think of him, and I think that's probably my husband in that card. Okay, and the last one is, what is the hardest court card for you to get in a reading? What one just puzzles you? And frankly, they all puzzle me a little bit, but I chose the Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Coins. I think when I think of the Knight, I think of action, someone who's out there fighting or charging after something. And the Pentacles, to me, it's an earthy suit, obviously. It's work, it's hard work, patience, that kind of thing. And I have a little bit of trouble combining the Knight charging off there with that more plodding energy of the Pentacles. And I realize it could be someone who's a hard worker, someone who's going out there and getting the job done, and that kind of thing. So I can do it, but that's why if I had to pick one that I'm like, how do those go together? It might be this one. And again, since knights are quite often just guys on horses, sometimes ladies on horses, that don't look all that different. I find the knights are sometimes harder to differentiate than anyone else in the court card set. So that is my little spiel on court cards, why I find them challenging, what appeals to me and doesn't appeal to me, how I view some of them, and what decks I respond to with court cards and what deck I don't respond to as much. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you can do a video response to this, or you want to put comments down below, that would be great. We can all learn from each other. That'd be wonderful. So thank you so much for joining me. Take care.